came to Australia when I was 3 years old because my mother had met an Australian sailor, William George Ayres, and she followed him here, and my sister and I came with her, and my mother was a very beautiful but very troubled woman, and she left Uncle George as soon as we arrived, and then for the next 7 years we followed her as she went from lover to lover, and we moved from housing commission flat to the spare room of her girlfriends, and at one point we actually lived in the storeroom of a Chinese restaurant where she worked, and we just went from place to place with her until finally her ability to survive in this country reached its end, and she took her own life when I was 11 and my sister was 17. And, that was a very traumatic time in my life. And I guess my way of dealing with it, my way of processing it, was to write. So I wrote short stories, and I did this all through my teenage years, and that was when my stepfather, William George Ayres, came back from the Australian Navy and retired, and he looked after me, and then he died when I was 14, unexpectedly of a heart attack, and I ended up being an orphan. And then I ended up being homeless because his parents basically hated us, and I had no idea, and it was because we were Chinese. So basically at the age of 14, I was homeless, I was fairly traumatized, and my only way of processing the world was through writing about it, through writing stories, through trying to understand my experience. And also because when you're a child and you can't control the world around you, the one thing that you can control is the story that you tell. And so that was my way of asserting some kind of control in the world. And those stories became things that I showed my friends, and then they eventually became film scripts when I went to film school. And from that point on, I realized that the stories that I had to tell could move other people, could affect other people. And that's sort of what I realized, that was my talent, that was my ability, and that was my entry into the world of the arts. So I wrote some autobiographical short films, and I eventually made a very autobiographical movie and processed all of this stuff, but it allowed me to skill up. I was trading off my life experience for the ability to learn and get better at what I was doing, and that gave me the basis of a career in the arts. And 30 years later, I'm still doing pretty much the same thing. I'm finding the stories that move me, and I'm trying to tell them to other people. I think that I survived because I was able to turn those experiences into something that could be understood, and the arts gave me that opportunity. You see, that's why I'm so passionate about giving access to other people who don't come from, traditional middle-class backgrounds, giving those kinds of people, who are people like me, the opportunity to speak and to tell their stories with skill and with craft, because I think that's the caveat. The arts plays a crucial part in social cohesion, in defining what national identity is, in understanding that the idea of a national identity is an ever-evolving dialogue, and that we are shaping and writing it every day in the stories that we tell, and that the accumulation of those stories make us a nation, and that's a kind of very rubbery, loose idea, but I actually think that the idea of nationhood is very useful because it helps us get over the internecine wars that we are prone towards. Like it helps us get over being caught in a particular way of viewing the world, which may not be particularly generous towards other people in the world. I think that communication is the first act of generosity, and I think that if we can keep the channels of communication open, and I think culture is crucial to that, art is crucial to that, then we will have a better society.